The scene starts with darkness and the sound of someone crying in panic. They're pleading with their captors, claiming they don't remember something. A stern voice orders them to be killed. Suddenly, we see Gin waking up startled in the back seat of his family's car. He's sweating and confused, but his mother reassures him that it was just a nightmare. His dad laughs it off, mentioning Gin's excitement about moving to their new house. Gin's brother Yusyok chuckles too, teasing him about being too hyped to sleep. As they arrive at their new house, Gin feels a strange familiarity but brushes it off, eager for the move. He admires his older brother Yusyok, who's not only smart and athletic, but also kind-hearted. Despite injuring his leg in a car crash the previous year, Yusyok remains perfect in Gin's eyes. They start unpacking in their new home, set in the year 1997. Gin learns that he'll be temporarily sharing a room with Yusyok, as the previous owner left some stuff behind in the other room. During dinner, Gin asks his father about the spare room, but he's told they'll have to wait a month for it to be cleaned. His father warns him not to enter the room under any circumstances, which piques Gin's curiosity. Later that night, Gin hears a mysterious thud from the direction of the spare room, but everyone else dismisses it as thunder. Jin Seok looks uneasy shortly after the thunder, confirming everyone's theory. During dinner, his parents remind him to keep taking his medication, to which he nods obediently. Gin Seok, lying in bed listening to music on his Discman, notices a noise coming from the small room. Despite his reluctance, Jin Seok feels compelled to investigate. As he creeps closer, he hears rustling beyond the door, and the noise intensifies. As he reaches for the door handle, Yusuf taps him on the shoulder, startling him. Jin Seok, startled by the interruption, explains the noise to his brother. However, Yusuf hears nothing and drags Jin Seok outside for a walk to clear his head. They take umbrellas to shield themselves from the pouring rain and stand overlooking the city. Suddenly, Yusuf receives a call from their father, asking him to return home briefly. Jin Seok agrees to wait, but as he does, Yusuf is ambushed outside the house by a group of men in a van. Growing impatient, Jin Seok decides to head home and arrives just in time to witness his brother being abducted by the men. He gives chase, but is unable to stop them. However, he manages to memorize the van's number plate. Upon returning inside, he informs his parents of Yusuf's kidnapping before passing out. While unconscious, Jin Seok experiences more bizarre dreams involving blood, swinging axes, and ominous voices urging someone to kill him until he jolts awake. When Jin Seok finally awakens, he's escorted downstairs to speak with the detectives. He recounts seeing the men take his brother and provides them with the license plate number from the black van. However, the detectives dismiss his claim, stating that such a license plate doesn't exist, nor does the van. Frustrated, Jin Seok insists he saw it, but the detectives brush it off, suggesting he may have imagined the numbers. As the days pass, Jin Seok and his parents struggle with the uncertainty of Yusyok's disappearance. Jin Seok tries to focus on studying and continues taking his medication, but he's overwhelmed with anxiety and fear for his brother. Every night, he dreams of a mysterious man who visits him, adding to his distress. One night, Jin Seok wakes suddenly to find the door to the small room open, with someone inside pushing it further. Terrified, he hides under the covers as a dark figure enters the room. He waits in terror for what seems like an eternity, but when nothing happens, he cautiously peeks out to find the room empty and the door closed. Suddenly, a demonic woman attacks him in his dream, causing him to scream and awaken. After 19 agonizing days, Yusyok miraculously returns home, claiming to have amnesia with no memory of what transpired during his absence. The psychiatrist explains that Jin Seok's situation is typical for someone experiencing extreme trauma. assuring that his memories will resurface in due time. Jin-suk wakes up in the middle of the night to find his brother gone, but he assumes Yoo-seok's just stepped out briefly. His relief comes in the morning when he finds his brother returned. During breakfast, Jin-seok drops his medication, and Yoo-seok distracts him, delaying Jin-seok's retrieval. They order takeout and eat together, but Jin-seok can't help but ask where Yoo-seok went the previous night. Yoo-seok denies leaving, brushing it off as Jin-seok's imagination. Jin-seok notices Yoo-seok limping on the wrong leg, but Yoo-seok dismisses it, making Jin-seok doubt himself. As Jin-seok studies, he eventually nods off at his desk, only to wake and find Yoo-seok standing over him, clicking a pen dangerously close to his eye. Yoo-seok leaves abruptly, and Jin-seok follows him, shocked to see Yoo-seok no longer limping. He tails Yoo-seok to a quiet part of the city, where they meet the two detectives from before, who address Yoo-seok as boss and discuss something secretive. Confused and terrified, Jin-seok tries to leave but bumps into the detectives, who berate him for interfering. They chase him, and just when it seems like he'll escape, Yoo-seok appears behind him, covering his mouth with a cloth, causing Jin-seok to pass out. Jin-seok wakes up the next morning, finding himself back at the table where he passed out. He panics when Yoo-seok appears and rushes into the bathroom, locking himself in. He confronts Yoo-seok, demanding the truth about the previous night. Yoo-seok insists he's telling the truth and suggests Jin-seok must have dreamt everything. Their argument escalates into a violent fight, ending only when Yoo-seok reminds Jin-seok that he missed taking his medication, causing vivid dreams. Confused and upset, Jin-seok eventually relents and takes his medication as his brother instructs. With Yoo-seok gone, Jin-seok tries to study but discovers the pencil lead from the previous night, proving he wasn't imagining things. Upon her return, he confides everything to his mother, leaving her terrified and questioning Yoo-seok's behavior. Jin-seok becomes more convinced that the man he's seen isn't his brother. Later, he hears a noise from the small room, and armed with a baseball bat, he cautiously investigates. Initially, everything seems normal, but as he turns a corner, he discovers his brother, hanging dead. Jin-seok jolts awake in bed, realizing it was all a dream. He goes downstairs and overhears his mother on the phone with Yoo-seok, discussing everything he told her earlier, confirming his suspicions that something is seriously wrong. As Jin-seok listens, he accidentally makes a noise, alerting his mother, who rushes to the door. However, Jin-seok is already gone, stealthily hiding outside while his mother checks the house to ensure he didn't overhear her. He realizes she's heading upstairs to check on him, forcing him to climb the slippery side of the house to reach his room before her. Despite the rain and locked window, Jin-seok scrambles inside as his mother enters his room. She finds him apparently asleep, mistaking the rain-soaked appearance for sweat, and leaves him be. Once she's gone, Jin-seok springs into action, climbing back out the window to escape. Meanwhile, his mother, still on the phone, realizes Jin-seok overheard her conversation. Outside, Jin-seok is about to flee when his father appears, followed by his mother and a mysterious man. They urge him to come back inside, but Jin-seok runs for his life, pursued by the stranger through the streets. Just when it seems he'll be caught, a motorbike rider intervenes, allowing Jin-seok to hail down a passing police car and seek refuge inside the police station. Inside, Jin-seok tries to explain the bizarre events, but even he struggles to comprehend them. The situation becomes even stranger when the police confirm his identity, but inform him it's actually 2017 and he's 40 years old. Jin-seok is in shock as he looks around the police station and realizes the truth about his age. Seeing his middle-aged reflection in a mirror for the first time is a jarring experience. He returns home to find the place deserted. Upon reaching the spare room, he's greeted with a disturbing sight: fake blood everywhere and two dummies resembling murder victims. As Yusuke and his parents arrive, Jin Shiok demands answers, and finally, they reveal the truth. 20 years ago, a gruesome murder occurred in the same house, which remained unsolved. 16 years later, the family hired Yusuke as a private investigator, who identified Jin Shiok as the suspect. However, Jin Shiok has no memory of the crime, leading to a desperate attempt to jog his memory through brainwashing. The plan was to convince Jin Shiok that it was 1997 again, and they'd just moved into the house, hoping the familiar surroundings would trigger his memories. However, their plan is disrupted when Yusuke is arrested on unrelated charges the same night they move in. As they drive Jin Shiok to the police station, Yusuke makes a final attempt to get him to remember the truth. Jin Shiok denies any involvement in the murder. Before they can press further, he jumps out of the moving car and flees. They give chase, resulting in a tragic accident where Yusuke crashes the car, killing Jin Shiok's parents and injuring himself. As Jin Shiok attempts to flee, a random car hits him, knocking him unconscious. Finally, as he regains consciousness, all his memories as a 20-year-old flood back. He sits in the back of the car with his brother and parents, mirroring the scene from the movie's start. However, this time, tragedy strikes as the car crashes, severely injuring his brother and claiming the lives of his parents. Now alone and desperate for money, Jin Shiok faces the urgent need for his brother's surgery. Despite his efforts to find a job, his lack of education and experience leaves him with no options. One night, while searching the internet for job opportunities, a mysterious user offers him a way to make quick money. Jin Shiok agrees, only to be asked to commit murder. Sneaking into the woman's house, Jin Shiok finds himself unable to go through with the act. However, when the woman wakes up and sees him, panic ensues, leading to a tragic chain of events. In the chaos, Jin Shiok accidentally kills both the woman and her daughter. Haunted by guilt, Jin Shiok spares the woman's infant son, instructing him to count to 110 in his room, promising to bring back his mother and sister if he does so. The boy runs into his room to count as Jin Shiok instructed while Jin Shiok leaves. Later, Jin Shiok confronts his brother's doctor on a roof, shocked that he hired someone to commit such a terrible act. The doctor confesses it was for insurance money, as his family would be left homeless otherwise. Jin Shiok is appalled by the doctor's actions, leading to a physical altercation that ends tragically when Jin Shiok accidentally throws the doctor off the roof, killing him. Distraught, Jin Shiok flees, only to wake up in a hospital in the present day. His fake brother, furious at his escape, attempts to inject him with poison. Jin Shiok finally admits to remembering everything. His fake brother reveals himself as the little boy Jin Shiok spared years ago, whose life was ruined as a result. He questions if Jin Shiok's father hired him to kill his mother, suspecting foul play. Jin Shiok lies, claiming he acted alone. The fake brother demands to know why Jin Shiok spared him, leaving him to suffer in a cruel world. Overwhelmed by guilt, the fake brother commits suicide by jumping out of the window. Unable to bear the pain he's caused, Jin Shiok also ends his life using the needle. A final flashback reveals the chance encounter between Jin Shiok and the fake brother on the day of the accident, unknowingly setting the course for their intertwined destinies.